Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the GD Report. I am D,
And I'm G.
and we are coming to you. We're recording it live. It may not be live when you watch it, but we are fresh off the second and final presidential debate because we had a president who had open rallies and Supreme Court nominee introduction receptions and got himself the Rona and had to be in the hospital, or G-Man still disputes whether that happened. But anyway,
Yep.
he wouldn't participate in the virtual on the second, so that one was canceled. So this is our final shot here as far as head-to-head combat goes.
Right.
So what did you think, G-Man?
I thought the big winner was the moderator. I thought she did a great job. As you and I were talking off air, it's amazing what the power of a muted mic will do for you to gain control. I did think there was some times in the middle where things kind of got out of hand, and I thought she did a pretty good job of getting them back on track in fairly short order. But I'm sure when the debate analysis comes out, it'll show that Trump interrupted Biden far more than Biden interrupted Trump. In fact, I can't remember, but just a couple of times that Biden actually did interrupt. I thought Trump did a fairly good job of keeping his demeanor where it needed to be. He acted mostly presidential. I think he answered questions fairly factually as far as his facts are concerned. I think he took a lot of liberties. He tried to bait Biden on several occasions with this news report out of the New York Post that is being investigated that no other news outlet has been able to corroborate yet. So yeah, that's my takeaway. What was yours?
Well, I never root for the referees, so I'm not going to say the moderator won
Right.
anything. I think probably the big loser is Chris Wallace because he's at home tonight saying, "Why didn't I have a mute button?"
Right.
in the first debate. But I thought I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on a couple things. I thought Trump did a whole lot of just avoiding the actual questions. I thought there was a case where the question was, what would you say to Black and brown families that have to have the talk with their children about what to do when they're either pulled over or confronted by a police officer for their safety. And he went to I. It was,
Right.
I've done this, I've done that, I've got. It was, it was just not an answer to the question. There was a lot of, he was the Eddie Haskell of presidential candidates tonight, and he was
Right.
he was annoying. He didn't answer the questions. He tried to, as you said, bring up the lots of different accusations. And I thought Biden did a good job of not getting in the mud with it. The other issue I'll take with you is that you called the New York Post a news outlet, and I would never go that far. I think if I read the New York Post, it's for comedy, it's not for news.
Right.
Because they usually are so wrong. Their headlines are pretty good, but the meat and potatoes of the story are usually way off. Especially, they never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Right.
They have. So I thought Biden did what he had to do. I think the big not concerned, but the big play that the Trump campaign was blowing up was that they were going to let Biden talk, and that Biden's going to trip himself up. And I thought he explained his positions really well. I thought he pushed back at the right amount of time. The biggest issue still is coronavirus, and that was topic number one. And Trump's clearly he's not good at handling that. He doesn't have a good answer. You would think by now he would have a good answer, but
Right.
he wants to run this time just like it's 2016. And it's not 2016. And Mike Pence did the same thing in the VP debate where they want to act like the last 3.5 years haven't happened.
Right. Well, Trump does have an answer for the coronavirus. It's the vaccine is coming, and he keeps saying that. And I think Biden hammered him pretty hard on that response, saying, this is the guy that told you it was a hoax, and back in February and March, and now he says the vaccine's coming. So who do you want to
Yeah,
believe?
I think, yeah, and the other one was that that Trump's uh, that was probably the biggest faux pas of the night, I think, and it was early on, and to me it was a knockout punch. It pretty much ended it for me. Was the when Trump said we're learning to live with it,
Right.
and then Biden hit him back hard, and I mean it was hard. It was I winced just like I did on the Dan Quayle and Lloyd Benson when he said we're actually learning to die with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I thought that was the catchphrase of all the debates, and that Biden would come back with that just I think showed how prepared he was for this debate, and how basically he knew what Trump was going to say and how to counter it.
yeah, he was ready for that. I thought the other there was a lot of projection, which is one of Trump's MOs. With China and things like that, and throwing out just wild accusations, seeing what would stick, and it was he was a lot more measured than he was before, but he still just it's clear he doesn't have a really strong command of any issue.
Right. Yeah, uh, I took issue with a couple of things that he said about one thing he said about renewable energy. He said all the manufacturing is coming from China. It doesn't take long, as we talked about after the first debate, it doesn't take long to fact check these things. And as it turns out, there's several manufacturing facilities across the U.S. They employ anywhere from hundreds to thousands of people. In fact, there's a big Vestas plant. Vestas is a company that makes these high-end windmills for wind farms right here in Colorado, and employs 3,200 people. So, I took issue with that, and I just thought Biden did a much better job. I think anybody that's scoring this is going to deem him the winner.
Yeah.
I think when he turned and faced the camera, whereas Trump turned and faced Biden a lot, I think the message was better from Biden. Uh, Trump just, like we were saying off air, like you said off air, he looked like a guy that was just beaten. He kind of looked like one of Ali's guys over in the, that he'd been pounding on for 15 rounds over in the corner,
Yeah.
ready to throw in the towel.
Yeah, I thought I agree with that. And after the debate, he looked drained, and he just looked, that last question about what would you say to people at the inauguration. I mean, but Trump's answer was all over the board, and just about how things were better before coronavirus, and we're going to get back to that, and we're going to this and that. And it never really had I mean, you got to be ready for that kind of message. And I think we've talked about this before, but that's been one of the Achilles heel of his presidency, is he never had the transition. And I don't know that he's capable of it, but you have that transition when you win the election, and then you've got to understand that when you're inaugurated as everybody's president. And Trump looked at the presidency as he was the president of the people who elected him, and to hell with everybody else.
Right.
And he never did anything to bring people forward, bring people together. And we're seeing the fruits of that now. I mean, Biden's closing statement, I was like, after he gave his closing statement and talked about how whether you did or didn't vote for him, he wanted to make your life better. He wanted to get through the coronavirus together. He wanted to have clean energy jobs, and we can improve our economy. We can improve our healthcare system. We can give everybody access. I mean, if that hadn't been the last question, I considered that a mic drop. And Trump looked a little like he wished he could have responded to that. But I think it's a case of where if that wasn't the last question, maybe the moderator actually rang the bell there, because she was
Right.
she's like, I don't think you want any part of that one.
Right. Well, I thought when they were talking about race and Biden, Trump hit Biden pretty hard on his support of the crime bill, which a lot of blacks have said was responsible for their disproportionate numbers in the nation's penal system. But Biden hit back pretty hard and talked about Trump's involvement with basically railroading the 5 teenagers, which came to be known as the Central Park Five, railroading them into jail. And so anybody that knows Trump, that knows his rhetoric, for him to look into the camera and say, "I'm not a racist."
His exact quote, sorry to interrupt you, his exact quote was, "I'm the least racist person in this entire room."
Right. My great grandmother would call that a bald-faced lie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think
I agree totally. You know, there's another thing that really stood out to me was in that discussion about the crime bill, and I've heard him say it before, but it uh, it harkened back to the first debate to me when he spoke about his son Hunter having a drug problem, and he talked about it. I thought that was a watershed moment for a presidential candidate to talk about the problem that their child had, that many families in America face. I thought also when he talked about the crime bill, the fact that he was willing to say it was wrong. We shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have had mandatory minimums.
right.
And you know, to have a politician have that kind of ability to say I did something wrong and I learned from it, I think that's an important value in our president and hopefully our future president.
Right.
What do you think was the weirdest thing of the night? Anything weird stand out to you?
No, maybe the fact that Trump walked in not wearing a mask. You know,
Yeah.
Biden wore his. Other than that, it seemed like a pretty fairly normal debate. I do want to clarify.
I got two of them. I got two of them for you.
Okay, let me clarify something first. So NBC has, they tracked a bunch of stuff during the debate, and they tracked interruptions and attacks. So they have Biden with 89 attacks made, Trump with 123. Here's the shocking figure. They have Biden with 25 interruptions and Trump with only 24. So
yeah, I wondered if they would when I knew they were going to do some of those counts. I wonder if like when Trump would say something and Biden would say not true.
Right.
If they counted that as an interruption.
Probably. Anyway, what were your two things that you found?
Yeah, let's get back to my important part, the weirdest parts tonight. I do think we set a presidential debate history. I think this was the first time the word coyote was used in a presidential debate. It was used twice,
right,
with Trump referring to the people bringing smuggling people across the border. I thought that was, and I'll get to my other one in a second, but I want to get serious for a second. I thought that was kind of a gut wrenching part of the debate, thinking about those kids that and I thought Biden did a really nice job showing empathy, talking about those kids who don't know where their parents are tonight, don't know where they're going to go. And Trump was trying to blame Obama and Biden and saying, we did what we needed to do. And there's a recorded fact of Jeff Sessions and what's our other buddy's name? The immigration, Stephen Miller, your old friend.
Right.
Those two on record saying we got to separate the kids. If we separate the kids, it's going to stop people from coming. I mean, they're on record that it's a policy they instituted to be able to do that because they thought the more brutal we are, the less likely people are to come. So that was a pretty gut wrenching part of the debate. And you see Trump's utter lack of empathy at all in a situation like that. I mean, I think that was a chance. That was an opening there. And he should have known that question was coming because it's in the news. That would have been an opening there where he could have spoken to suburban women. Right. And he could have announced from the debate stage, I've instituted a brand new policy tonight where we'll no longer separate families and we'll do X, Y, and Z. He's not going to lose any of his voters, but he could have done that. But I don't think Trump is never going to admit he was wrong on anything. Right. All right. My second weird thing of the night was, and I heard Brian Williams on NBC earlier. They were saying they were going to try to track this one down, but when I first heard it, I was like, huh? I didn't understand it. He accused at one point, he said, while Joe was selling pillows and sheets, I was doing something else, and nobody, and even Biden's face was like, what? nobody knows what he was talking about with Joe's selling pillows and sheets. So I don't know if he had a hot flash there and he got him confused with the My Pillow guy who supports him,
Right.
or what. But I'm going, selling pillows and sheets. What is he talking about?
Yeah, there was a lot of things that Trump said that kind of took me aback. But those the question about those kids and Biden's answer I thought was spot on, where he said they should have never been separated, and all Trump could say was, "Well, you built the cages."
Yeah, and he kept it was like a child complaining to a parent. He kept saying, "Ask him a question about the cages. Ask him a question about the cages.
Right.
Ask him a question about fracking." It was just like he was complaining, and it's like, dude, you've been in office for almost 4 years. You should have a stronger record to run on, or if you don't,
Right.
that's why you got to blame the other people.
Yeah, I think this was just a carryover from the 60 Minutes interview where he basically complained to Leslie Stahl that he was getting a lot of unfair questions, that she started it off being mean and rude when she said, "Are you ready for some tough questions?" I guess, he thinks every interviewer is supposed to sit down and kiss the ring and tell him how great he is, and, ask him what he thinks about the weather. So,
Yeah. Well, he at one point during the debate, he told Kristen Welker he thought she was doing a great job, and then afterwards he said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you" to her, socially distant. Now,
right,
when the numbers start coming out that people think he lost the debate, I'm sure by tomorrow morning he'll be trashing her.
right, probably. Wonder if there's any numbers out on that already, if there's any analysis.
I was
I
looking at
think,
CNN earlier to see if they had a snap poll, because a lot of times they will throw a snap poll up, um, but I don't see I don't see it. I don't see a snap poll yet, but I'm sure there'll be some out in a little bit. So, a fun-filled night. Where are we now on days till the election? Are we like 12 days out?
I think that's right.
Of course, like we've said before, the election day is already here for a lot of states. So,
Right. We are 11 days out.
holy shnikes.
Yeah. There is some Twitter traffic about, different people saying who won. Most are saying, Biden won. They like his answer: shut down the virus, not the country.
Yeah.
Somebody, somebody has a picture of Biden with kind of a funny look on his face and says, "Biden nearly passed out when he heard Trump say he takes responsibility." Of course, he followed that up with, "It's all China's fault." I thought that was really funny. "I take full responsibility. It's all China's fault."
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. So, well, everybody do your part, get out and vote. No more debates. We're in the home stretch now. Where do you think, are you going to see any surprises on the campaign trail? Anything you're predicting?
Well, I know you don't like the New York Post, but a lot of Republicans are touting that Hunter Biden story, and the person Trump was referring to in the debate tonight that held a news conference 90 minutes before was Hunter Biden's former business partner, who says he has clear evidence that not only was Hunter Biden doing some shady things, but Daddy Joe was thoroughly involved and knew everything that was going on, and actually coached his son about some things, and that governments around the world were able to gain access to the Obama administration through Joe Biden via his son and his son's position. So, well, I'm watching that to see if it gains some traction, gains some legs.
It'll gain traction on the right because they're grasping for straws at this point.
Right.
Who sponsored that press conference that he had?
I don't know who sponsored it.
Yeah, he was a guest at the debate tonight too. Do you know he was there?
Yeah, I knew he was there.
Just like Trump brought the accusers of Bill Clinton
Right.
in 2016. And by the way, for the record, too, I'm going to take umbrage with what you said. I have told you clearly that I do like the New York Post. When I go to the fish market in New York, I love it's a great wrapper for
Right.
fish, and so it does really good there. They're grasping at straws, and it's pretty rich for Donald Trump to complain about anybody's kids getting foreign privilege and having entanglements with foreign governments, considering all the entanglements he had. I did think that Biden hit him pretty good on Russia tonight too.
Right. Yeah,
So,
he doesn't like that. Here's the best analysis of the debate. I guess it was said by Dana Perino. Uh, Whereas the first debate was sort of like whitewater rafting blindfolded, this one was more like being on a lazy river and not even spilling my drink. So it was, I did think it was toned down a lot.
yeah. I think my overall analysis is that I think Joe Biden did exactly what he had to do. He had a strong message. He didn't have many major faux pas. Some people were trying to talk about the fact that he looked at his watch at the end, which which was a reminder of H.W. Bush and the debates with Perot and
Right.
Clinton. But I think everybody in America that was watching probably felt his pain, like how much more time do I got to be on stage with this guy?
Yeah.
So I think it's a whole different ball game there. So I think he did everything he had to do. I don't think Trump did, and it's not just because I don't like Trump. I just don't think he did anything to gain any kind of undecided votes or switch any votes. I don't think he
Right.
did what he had to do. I think if he really was going to do that, he needed to speak more to women and speak more to suburban white women, and I don't think he did that.
Yeah. I was talking to my mother-in-law earlier today, and she questioned why they were even having the debate because she's read where there's only 3% of the eligible voters that have yet to make up their mind. Where they get those statistics, I'm not sure, but it seems probably right. We seem pretty polarized. Um, but if you're only trying to hit 3% of the population, why even have a debate? But they had it. It went off
Well,
fairly well, and I think you're right. I think Biden did what he had to do. I don't think a whole lot of minds were changed, but if they were, I think people, I think Joe, Trump and the right have tried to portray Joe Biden as not ready for the presidency, not of sound mind and body. And what I think these two debates have shown is that he's definitely sound of mind and body, and he can hold his own, and he can actually come back with some pretty quick zingers.
yeah, and I think there might have been some down ballot folks hoping for a life raft tonight,
Right.
and boy, I sure don't think he did anything to help them either.
Yeah. We'll see how the polls go. Uh, I was made aware, speaking of the polls, I wasn't made aware of a poll today about the South Carolina Senate race that shows the Democratic challenger, Jamie Harrison, up by 5. So, that may be some backlash of Lindsey Graham pushing through the Amy Coney Barrett nomination today, despite no Democrats being at the hearing.
It's a clear violation of Senate rules.
Right.
I mean, we all know they don't care about the Senate rules, but if you don't have rules and if you have rules and you don't follow them, there's no point in having them. But you're
Right.
supposed to have 2 members of the minority party present to have a quorum, and they all boycotted and they went ahead and passed it. So
Right.
I do know they will this weekend they will have a session so that they can try to have business passed and be able to vote on her on Monday.
Right. Yeah, that's
Also,
what I
I
heard.
know that Schumer's going to ask the Senate parliamentarian for a ruling on that lack of quorum rule, and there's a way for the Republicans to get around it, and especially, well, I guess it depends. However, the parliamentarian feels if he or she thinks they might have a job in a Democratic majority, they might rule that way, but I doubt it very seriously because there's some chair prerogative exceptions where a chair can say if it was going to pass anyway that you didn't have to have a quorum. But
Right.
I think something that important, you ought to have to follow the rules.
Well, and then on the vote, I'm eager to see how Susan Collins of Maine is going to vote because I think I think she could still pull her campaign out. Although Sarah Gideon is running a strong campaign and is a really strong candidate for the Dems. But if she votes no on that, I think she can vote no and it'll still pass. Her nomination will still pass. If she votes no, then she could go back and say, hey, look, I voted against the Supreme Court because I thought it was wrong and blah, blah, blah. And it might gain her some traction and she might be
Yeah,
able to pull out.
I follow the Gideon campaign really closely, and they're ready for that one because they've already talked about the fact she voted for Kavanaugh and Gorsuch.
Right.
She voted for Garland not to have a vote. She wouldn't meet with him even. And then the other thing that is just dogging her, which to me, what does she have to lose at this point? Because Trump's already trashed her, but she won't say who she's voting for president.
Right.
And
Well, it's one of those things where they say, the no comment is actually a comment. So if she's not going to say who she's voting for, she's going to cast her vote for Trump.
yeah, or Sarah Gideon's got the free reign to say she's voting for Trump. She's just not being straight with the people of Maine.
Right.
So, all right. Well, that takes us to the end of tonight. Appreciate the G-Man staying up way past his bedtime.
Right.
We can get this one done, and hope everybody out there enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts on the debate. It wouldn't shock me if Trump doesn't try to ask for another debate.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but you might be right.
He could say, we didn't get to have the second one, so let's have another one. And if I'm Biden, I got nothing to gain by doing that.
Right.
So, but anywho, everybody get out and vote, get registered. If your registration deadlines haven't passed, if your state needs volunteers to work the polls, help out theirs, and take it easy on your poll workers, take it easy on your volunteers too. They're serving a great purpose in democracy. And just remember, nobody has a right to obstruct you from getting into a polling place. Nobody has a right to threaten you with violence or anything else. If that happens, call the authorities.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of the GD Report. If you haven't voted, go vote.
Good night.